All right. So as we see, quantitative easing ultimately is pumping money into the economy. That's why you kept hearing stimulus checks, stimulus checks, stimulus checks. So, how does QE actually stimulate the economy and why does it cause inflation? So, this is the Fed's theory. Recession hits, people stop spending, businesses stop hiring, and without intervention, the economy spirals. To break the loop, the Fed creates money and pushes rates down. Cheaper loans encourage businesses to expand. All right, instead of me getting 7%, I can get 3.5. Cheaper mortgages encourage people to buy homes. Higher stock prices, because again, when interest rates drop or when there's money pumped into the economy, ultimately the stock market reacts. And higher stock prices make investors feel wealthier, so they spend more. Demand wakes up, companies hire. That is the stimulation. But there's another Asian we got to talk about, and it's called inflation. There is an old rule in economics: flood the system with money, but keep the amount of goods and services roughly the same, and prices go up. More dollars chasing the same cars, gallons of milk, apartments equal higher prices on cars, milk, and apartments. The Fed actually wants a little inflation. Their target is about 2% a year. They believe mild, steady inflation encourages spending instead of hoarding. But when you do quantitative easing at the scale we saw in 2020 and 2021, trillions in months, you risk overshoot. And that's what happened. In 2021, 2022, inflation hit levels not seen since the early 1980s. Grocery jump. Yeah, man, y'all know about the wings. Let me go to 10 piece. 10 piece lemon pepper, half honey. But 26, 35. Hold on now. They used to be 14. We all saw it. Groceries jump, gas jump, rent jump, used cars went insane, supply chain shocks, stimulus checks were a part of it, but a huge wave of new money sloshing around the system was absolutely part of the story. So inflation is the hidden tax of quantitative easing. You never see it on a pay stub. You feel it in the grocery store. So when we think about who benefits, um, in the way this thing is even, positioned. So quantitative easing is sold as a um hold on, yeah. Quantitative easing ultimately is sold as a here we go. So I had to get my slides right, y'all. We got these slides going. So quantitative ultimately is sold as a rescue mission. And in some ways it saves jobs, it keeps banks open, it prevents depression level chaos, but it does not help everyone equally. Who benefits the most? Well, the people who already own stuff. If you own stocks, your portfolio goes up. If you own a house, that value is going to increase. If you are a corporation, you can borrow at almost nothing and buy back your own shares. That's a whole nother podcast. Hedge funds and investment banks, they doing a tootsie roll. Who benefits the least? Savers and people who don't own anything or specifically assets. A retired teacher watches her savings account interest drop to near zero. Younger people, lower income families, they watch home and stock prices float further out of reach. Critics call quantitative easing trickle down monetary policy for a reason. There is a less talked about side effect too: asset bubbles. So when the Fed floods the system with cheap money, that money has to go somewhere. A lot of it ends up in stocks. A lot of it ends up in real estate. Some of it ends up in much riskier corners like meme stocks, NFTs, crypto, and speculative startups. The 2021 cycle was a textbook example. Home prices in some U.S. metro cities jumped 40% in 18 months. Tech stocks went vertical. Bitcoin went from 5,000 to 69,000 and then back under to 16,000 in 3 years. Now it's back up. I ain't gonna leave it with that. Um, and that's what happened when central banks pour gasoline on the financial system. Like things go up faster than they should, and then they come back down very hard.